Hey guys, what's up? I hope you're having a good day. In this video, I wanted to sort of pack in some mini reviews on some products, but they all happen to be products that I turned out to really like, but they surprised me. It's just 5 things, and none of it was stuff that I thought I would really enjoy as much as I do. So I will have some little demos to accompany what I'm talking about, but we've got kind of a high-end drugstore mix here, and I thought, let's just lump them into one video and share about some of these products that really going in, you know how I am, I do love to try different things. Just the act of trying something new makeup-wise, I enjoy that. And I do try to not have too many preconceived notions about something and really get my mind made up before I give the product, you know, its time and testing. But still, I guess I just didn't think these certain products were going to be as good as they were, and I do really enjoy them. So I'm going to start out talking about this from Almay. It's the Skin Perfecting Healthy Biome Makeup with Prebiotic Complex, and I got it in 120 Beige. That is the perfect shade for me. It's hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, and it does have SPF 25 in it. Now, I do remember talking about this in an anti-haul video probably earlier this year, and I saw it on Ulta's website. I actually ended up getting this through Walmart, but I saw it on there, and I think I mentioned, like, you know, that kind of interests me. Maybe somewhere down the line I'll end up picking it up, and I did. And I've got to say, I really, really enjoy this stuff. I do think every brand is out to make their own It Cosmetics CC cream, and I'm not saying this is exactly like It Cosmetics CC cream. I don't think it has quite as much coverage, and I don't think it feels as thick on the skin, but it's kind of like a little lighter take on that. And even being that way, it still does have some nice coverage. I use about a pearl-sized amount, and I'll show it going on here. And to me, it feels like a little richer take on foundation, just texture-wise. It seems like it's got a little moisture in it, as opposed to how some foundations just seem liquidy and just full of the pigment and whatever. This has a little bit of that moisturizer-y richness to the texture, but that amount blended into the skin, I find myself loving the medium coverage that it gives, and the overall like natural looking radiance that my skin comes away with I think is really pretty. I wouldn't say it's like super dewy, and I wouldn't call it 100% matte either, but it just looks so good and so fresh. And I find that with the full face layered on, as you're looking at me now, I just feel like the skin looks really alive. You know what I'm saying? It meshes in really well with my other products. I find that a little concealer added to something like this is just all I need coverage-wise. Even though you know I do love slapping on those full coverage things, this just feels very skin friendly. You do feel like you're getting kind of an extra dose of hydration, but you're getting the coverage as well, and I really enjoy this. I did not expect to like it so much. I think my mind was going back to like Almay's Smart Shade stuff, and just remembering being very disappointed coverage-wise in that product, and for some reason I just wasn't thinking this was going to be so amazing, but it really checks a lot of the boxes for me. And also, it doesn't leave your skin remaining super tacky. I very lightly set all over my face, but not with a lot of powder at all. So yeah, just very pleased with the end result. Happy with this immediately after I put it on. As you saw, I blended it out with a brush. I don't think I've used a beauty blender yet on this, but so far very happy with just the dense brush. I just like the way it works into the skin. It really seems to work for me. Right now, it kind of feels like one of those things where I sit down to the makeup area, and this is just that thing I really want to grab for, so loving it. I also have a concealer that I've been enjoying lately, and it's my little size of the Urban Decay Stay Naked. So you first saw me use this in my Sephora video where nothing was over $15. I have this in the shade 20 CP, so yeah, just the little size, and the shade happens to be absolute perfection. Every time I blend this color out, I'm like, okay, it's a real sweet spot of not being too far off from my skin, but it's a little bit up, and it gives me a very brightened up feel. But yet, I also feel like I'm getting good coverage. And also, I don't think it's too heavy. Perhaps just the name Stay Naked made me think that this was going to be more of a like fluid, lightweight concealer, like one of those natural looking concealers. Generally speaking, wanting the concealer to be the thing that takes the look up a notch coverage wise. And I feel like this totally does. And again, the shade, if you're very much on par with my skin tone, like this 20 CP, it's so nice. Enough of a match to conceal, but enough of a shade up to actually make me feel perfectly brightened as I need or want to be. And the texture is really quite thin. We're talking a thinner consistency than your e.l.f. Camo Concealer or Tarte Shape Tape, it seems like, but yet manages some very good coverage. And again, you could probably step up the coverage a little bit if you're having a real dark day, let's say right in your caverns right here, as I call them, those innermost corners. You could layer on some of that Becca. That's a wonderful product, that little Becca under eye brightener. That could pair nicely with this. That always adds a little extra moisture to the under eye area, which I love. But even as is, this has really impressed me. I did not expect to like it so much. This one is like a product that's been sitting around in my collection that I never really dug into. You know, I had this little Nars compact here, and it's the Laguna and Casino bronzer. So Laguna is the one on this side, and that's, I think, probably the most popular one, wouldn't you say? And then Casino's over here. Laguna, a little bit lighter. Casino, you can tell by the swatches, there's Casino on that finger. A little deeper, just a little richer in tone, and it seems like both have maybe a little more gentle sheen than I thought. I don't know, I was under the impression that they are mostly matte. Maybe there is like a 10% satin finish going on in there too. But I just never got this out and used it. I thought I knew all about Laguna, and I remember opening it up one day, and maybe it wasn't in the best lighting or whatever, but you can glance at this and they can both look kind of identical. So I think I just set it aside. It's like, oh, Casino, okay, it looks just like Laguna pretty much. Yeah, I don't really need to experiment with that. But for whatever reason, I picked it up and I started using it a few days ago, and I really enjoy Casino so much. Like, I love the depth level. I really like the way it shears out on the skin. It makes like a perfect contouring shade on my skin, and this is the kind of stuff, I'm sure these have been around for probably decades. Some of you may be seeing me talk about this and you're like, yeah, I knew about that from way back when. And that's great. It's just a product that I never really gave a chance, and I think Laguna's all right too, but there is something about Casino. I tend to like a bronzer that's a little bit deeper, and being able to see that sheer on the skin, it's like 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be more satisfied with that kind of a bronzer than one that's a little too light, because oftentimes the light ones can have maybe a little orange or like a yellowish tan thing going on. I don't know, but I feel like this shade is just perfection around the hairline, really good as a contour too. When I see a bronzer go on around my hairline, there's like a little mental ding that goes off when I feel like, okay, that's the natural color I see in my skin if I actually have a tan. So this one gives me that. There are several bronzers that do. Maybe I need to do a video like my most natural bronzers, but pleasantly surprised by this, and it's not going to be one of those things that just sits dormant in my collection anymore. Let's talk about a sweet little brush that I ordered, and it turned out to be way smaller than I thought it was going to be. This is from Real Techniques. It's the 444 filtered cheek brush. So yes, you are looking at a little baby stipple brush right here, and I don't know, I guess I thought it was going to be a little fuller, maybe more like the e.l.f. small stipple brush, but this is small. I mean, you're looking at the full surface of that brush, and it's, you know, right along the lines of my cheekbone area there. It's not like filling out my whole cheek, let's say. I've realized how much I love this for liquid highlights, and I feel like this is going to bring back an entire texture of makeup that I really haven't reached for much lately. I think it's going to bring that all back into the mix for me. I very instinctively want to reach for a powder highlight, but now I feel like this little brush, the pressure, the lightness of pressure, and then also the size keeps that highlight kind of confined exactly where I want it. So I'm getting that glow, I'm getting that kind of up here brightness precisely where I want it to be, and I'm able to blend that in without interfering whatsoever with my coverage underneath, because the brush is just so lightweight, and you can just tap it in, you can give it a gentle buff even, it's going to apply really, really light pressure. Now I guess you could decide you're going to ram that stipple brush into your cheek, and you could mess up the finish of your makeup. But generally speaking, you get something like this, you just want to feel it grazing the top of your skin, and it's great for liquid highlights. So today I used this Rare Beauty one. It's the liquid luminizer in Mesmerize, and I just gave a little bit just directly onto the skin from the doe foot, and then used this to blend it out, and I'm so happy. And I just, whatever was left over on the brush, I could just pop that on the forehead or anywhere else on the face. But I just found the ease of application wonderful, the lack of messing up my look exceptional, and then also the size. I think it is kind of special for being as small as it is. I don't have any stipple brush for the face that's quite that little, so I enjoyed that very much. Last thing I'll mention here is another product where I don't know, I kind of have come full circle on it. I used it earlier on. I wasn't fully wowed. In fact, I was a little disappointed, but Catrice's brow pencil, it's sort of a fuller type of brow pencil because they're trying to pull off that teardrop shape, okay? And I remembered from the first use, it had a really nice like point going on. And you can see if you twist it up, it is formed to be that way all the way down, but you will pretty much immediately wear off the actual point that might make you feel like, okay, I'm getting super precise right in here at this inner part or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? It's gonna keep an overall triangular shape, but you're gonna have a hard time feeling like you're actually working off of a point outside of the very first use. So I got a little fed up with it because of that and set it aside. But you guys know I'm loving Catrice, especially these days. I'm like wanting to give Catrice an extra shot. There are certain things where I'm just so wowed by the brand. I just kind of wanted to really clue myself into everything. So I pull this out again and I'm playing with it and I'm like, you know, this fills in my brows really, really quick and I'm not actually missing a ton of precision. I'm not wishing I had so much more. I'm just kind of taking it through the brows without a lot of care and carefulness, and I'm just getting it in there. And then this little brush on the other end, we're talking like a mini dense brush with actual hairs, not a spoolie, not a stiff scratchy brush, but a little dense thick brush there. And that actually takes the stuff through really, really nicely. And by the time I've brushed that through, and I do feel like it's kind of a must-do step because this is kind of a creamy pencil. Not always the characteristics I love in a brow pencil, but I pull it through with the brush and I feel like everything is sitting there perfectly. So yeah, I guess you could say I've really come around on this one. The shade is ash brown, and that is important too. It does happen to be a really, good shade for me. But it just goes to show, you know, sometimes your initial reaction on something is not always where it's at. Sometimes you need to keep an open mind. You need to play with something a little bit more. You need to try it in different ways, under different circumstances. Maybe you even use a little different technique as you're trying to take it through your brows, or a little different level of pressure you apply to the skin. There are so many little factors and little variables that go into the way we feel about a product. And what this video is kind of revealing to me is, number one, don't always go with the initial reaction. Give it more of a shot. And also really make sure you don't go into a new product already having your mind made up, because I do think sometimes that can color the experience. I think you just want to be as open-minded as possible. Expect that things will work out. Sometimes you will be proven otherwise, but go in believing the best, you know? I mean, maybe this is life advice here that I'm giving at the end of the video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch. Again, it was the Almay Skin Perfecting Healthy Biome Makeup. I think I maybe need to research a little bit more about what a healthy biome is, but I like this. I like this as makeup. I was pleasantly surprised by how great this Stay Naked concealer is working for me. This little bronzer duo, particularly Nars Casino, really liking that tone as a bronzer. A great little liquid highlight brush, very specific purpose, but a good purpose. And then my Catrice, I think it's called Brow Pen Pro or Brow Pro. I've worn off the writing already. But thanks again, you guys. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.